bring it forward to our board as well in about the late winter, early spring. So there are going to be 9 budgets that are going to be coming later before this board. The general fund is a requirement to have the budget approved. We have some special revenue funds, which are food service fund and our student activity
Thank you very much.
Hey, Alyssa. I'd like to ask all who are able to please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
(7:34) for the record. Okay, I'd like to welcome all to this evening's regular board meeting of the Lakeview Public Schools Board of Education today, Tuesday, June 6, 2023, at the boardroom at the Administrative Center, Wheat Educational Campus. I'd like to call the attention of the board. Or first off, real quick business, Ms. Taylor and Mr. Paulson will not be in attendance this evening due to personal items they're taking care of. Now moving on with the agenda, item B, the minutes of the special meeting of May 16, 2023.
Move for approval.
Support.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Bear, support by Ms. Martin. Discussion on the motion. Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Okay, I'd like to call the attention the minutes of the regular meeting of May 16, 2023.
Move for approval.
Support.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Bear, support by Ms. Martin. Discussion on the motion. Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Madam Secretary, have any public communication this evening?
I do not.
Okay, any Board of Education Administration comments? Yes, it was once again a great evening, Friday night, to see another 300 and some graduates cross the stage at the auditorium, and to see them off into their next adventures in their lives, whether it be college education, vocational education, or any of the other opportunities that are out there. Life is full of choices, and I'm hopeful that all those kids make the right choices for themselves moving forward in their lives. So that was, again, one wonderful evening. And thank you to the high school administration and your team for all that you did to make that happen. Any other comments?
I'd just like to take a moment to thank all the principals and staff at all the schools in coordinating end-of-school activities and administrative efforts and getting report cards together. I know that's a lot of work, and it's very important for all the students.
Exactly. Any other comments? Administration.
I would just echo our appreciation for not just our staff, but our parents and students who are making school a priority at the end and finishing strong. Attendance is still important. We still have lots of great things that are happening, and it's really great when we're going around the buildings and we're seeing such participation. We are hiring, and so I put that piece out there. All of our positions, open positions, are posted online. You will see some of those new hires coming forward tonight. We actually came right from down the hall of interviewing, so it's exciting times. We're adding to our staff, and we welcome people to Lakeview and welcome people to check out our postings online for some of our professional positions now, and some of our hourly positions will be later in the summer. End of July, beginning August is when you start seeing postings for paraprofessionals, food service, and some of those positions. And so I encourage people to look and look often. So thank you very much.
All right, any other comments? Ms. Cohen?
I would just like to wish everyone and their families and students and teachers, because the next board meeting is going to be after school is out, restful and safe summer. All your little kiddos, big kiddos as well, get outside, enjoy yourself, have a safe, happy summer, and we'll look forward, obviously, to have everyone back. It's before Labor Day this year in August, but again, everyone deserves a summer to have some rest and family time, and I just want to wish everyone the best this summer. And you two board members, thank you, and administration.
Very well said. The board echoes the same comments, and thank you for your presentation at 7 o'clock today regarding the budget hearing and the budget process for those that were in attendance, so thank you. Any other comments? No? Okay, student recognitions. I'll bet you that's why most of the people are here tonight.
My budget never draws a crowd.
Not all people are here
Not the
tonight.
budget approval?
The whole room will be empty by then again, too.
They thought the budget hearing was at 7:30, that's why everybody's here.
And if we can ask that everybody just remain seated until everybody's been called, then we'll take a recess after that, and everybody can depart, then we'll reconvene 10, 15 minutes, or 5 to 10 minutes after the recess starts. All right, so student recognitions, Social Studies Olympiad.
All right. Social Studies Olympiad is a statewide student competition whose goal is to increase student and teacher interest in social studies education. Contests lead to improvements in social studies curriculum and provide opportunities for students and teachers to gain recognition for academic accomplishments. The following students competed in this year's Social Studies Olympiad and received state recognition in these specific areas. So when we call your name, come on up and you can get your certificate. Lilia Barada, Greenwood Elementary, 5th grade, honorable mention, Quiltathon. Hope Beard, Ardmore Elementary, 5th grade, 3rd place, song. Marilyn DeFata, Greenwood Elementary, 4th grade, 1st place, Quiltathon. Azire Hyatt, Ardmore Elementary, 5th grade, 1st place, song. Ellen Neal, Ardmore Elementary, 5th grade, 1st place, song. Annabelle Price, Ardmore Elementary, 5th grade, 3rd place, song. Ty Ranieri, Ardmore Elementary, 5th grade, 3rd place, song. Aaliyah Shoemake, Greenwood Elementary, 4th grade, honorable mention, Quiltathon. Ria Midori Smith, Ardmore Elementary, 5th grade, 1st place, song. Madison Stevens, Ardmore Elementary, 5th grade, 1st place, song. And Sophia Ladika, Ardmore Elementary, 5th place, 2nd place, storyboard poster. At this time, Lakeview Public Schools Board of Education would also like to recognize Ardmore Elementary School Social Studies Olympiad Coach Tina Carlton and Greenwood Elementary School Social Studies Olympiad Coach Renee Subcheck. Please join me in congratulating Tina, Renee, and these creative students on this year's Social Studies Olympiad accomplishments. There's Ms. Subcheck.
She thought she was just going to sit there and wait.
Right?
Thank you, I'm so proud of them.
Great work to all of our students.
Yay.
Yes, this is such a great time of the year, giving all these kids their awards for their achievements most recently, but as we did about, 3 weeks ago now, we recognized all the other students for everything else. But Science Olympiad ran later this year, I guess, so we didn't get them all at the same time, so, or Social Studies Olympiad, yes. So congratulations to all those that received awards, and congratulations to all those that participated and learned something in this exercise, so congratulations. Okay, I show it's 7:43 right now. We'll take a 6-minute recess. We'll reconvene at 7:50.
One of the girls. He said recess, but one of the girls got all excited.
Yeah. All right, recess.
She got all excited.
Wow, we even get recesses here?
Wow.
We'll go Baumgartner now.
Ryan, turn around. Makes sense. Because I just.
Talk about they got like tape, correct? Yeah. Okay, that's fine. See, Rob.
It's all good. I just wanted to check.
We all feel the same.
I bet. I mean, that's a shame. Oh well. I mean, will July? What's the July meeting? I don't know what the date is, but will that be late? You think?
Yeah, the 11th.
So
Probably that the first and third. That we used to have 2 board meetings every month.
yeah, I mean,
Got away from it.
yeah, which is probably what should happen. Yeah, well, right. It's probably just the bond stuff. Okay, that's all right. Okay, yeah, that. Yeah. Okay. Makes sense. Just wanted to.
I'm a firm believer in less is more too.
That's what I'm saying. But
You have to improve it.
if it's necessary, it's necessary. The answer is yes. We have to have it.
Oh, man.
I know. That's what.
Remember Door the Explorer? Swiper, no swiping. Oh, man.
I'm trying to get ready to get out of here that we can. Of course,
What night is recital for you guys?
3 nights recital, but at least she has one, at least the Tuesday night she only has one number. So Wednesday night she's got 5, so rhythm and jump. Yeah. So I know, it's that crazy time. I love it, but I wish we weren't such a late, right? Like it's tough.
Yeah.
It's really like getting into July before you really
Yeah.
get to.
Yeah.
Has nothing to do with you and those students. If it was all for me, you would come to the table and we'd hold months. Right now, it's a very creative
It's cool in here already.
It does. I can feel the.
If anybody can feel it, you guys can feel it.
That's right. I know. It's no, seriously, and it's like, I maybe it's a mental thing, but sometimes
when it's a little bit cooler outside, I'm like, man, if I had hair, I think I'd be a bit warmer, but I don't know if it actually.
Probably not.
But
What's up with Lavender's district?
With who?
Lavender's district.
What about it?
They were the only ones that didn't show for the vote yesterday.
I'm surprised, aren't you?
Thank you, Gordy. Yeah, thank you.
Happy to see you here.
That's good.
Well, I guess everybody was here just for the Olympiad results.
A lot of people here for 10 kids.
It was. And every one of them that was called was here.
Yeah, that's good.
There you go. All right, it's 7:50. We'll come back in order. Moving on with the agenda, item G, non-homestead operating millage discussion.
Tonight, administration brings forward for discussion the long-term question of considering the local non-homestead millage tax levy. For many years, since the passage of Proposal A in 1994, local districts have been required to periodically ask voters to support a local millage on non-homestead properties. This millage collects taxes on non-homestead property that supports our local school district. The law limits the tax collection to 18 mills, even though local districts can ask voters to approve more than the 18 mills because of what is known as the Headley rollback. We have asked Mr. James Crowley, legal counsel with Miller Canfield, a specialist as it relates to elections and non-homestead millage issues, to help the board and our community understand and discuss various options for Lakeview's future non-homestead millage levy. Lakeview's levy expires at the end of 2024, so considering this issue now is an important activity for the board at this time. We have Mr. Crowley here, and he's going to speak about the millage, and you also have in front of you the detailed information that he will be talking about this evening. If they don't,
Good evening.
we can take some more.
So,
If they need some.
we're dealing with many of our clients on this exact issue. As Kathy indicated, the school district's funded at a per pupil student foundational line. And the money to pay that is derived from two sources. So you get $9,150 per child for this school year. Hopefully that increases next year. But there's two sources that support that. And one is the local property taxes that you're required to levy on your non-homestead property. Basically your commercial property, not any of your principal residences. And that's an 18 mil levy. So the revenue from that is taken in by the district. And then the state makes up the difference to get you to that 9150 level. So that's the basic funding mechanism for the foundational line. So the 18 mils is fine. It has to be authorized periodically by the school district voters. The problem that we run into is that the 18 mils is subject to a rollback under the Headley amendments that came in 1978. So the Headley amendments came in as the tax limitation initiative to try to cap property taxes. And they do that by saying if your property values go up at a rate higher than inflation, we're not going to let you levy the same amount of mills, you're going to get extra money every year. So the Headley amendment said, well, that's fine, but we're going to cap it. We're going to let you have an increase only up to the rate of inflation, which is fine. So you would get under the Headley amendment, property values are going up, you're levying a millage, you're going to get what you got last year plus an extra little bit for inflation. Well, under Proposal A, the Headley amendment doesn't work. Under Proposal A, it actually becomes a penalty because the state always assumes that you're levying 18 mills. So instead of operating as it should, what happens is if you get below 18 mills on the rollback, the district actually loses money. So you would have less money. You wouldn't be able to support your full allowed foundation allowance. So it's a flaw in proposal A that's never been fixed. And districts have to deal with it. And we haven't had to deal with it for a long time because we haven't had the property tax valuation increases. So in the recession, so from probably about 2007 until recently, we've been okay with property values, but in recent several past years, property values have been going up all over the state, and we're getting rollbacks on the 18 mills. And once you get below 18 mills, you're losing money, you're losing revenue. So currently, Lakeview is below 18 mils. And so we've been talking to the administration, superintendent, Kathy, and about what we should do, what are our options to do this. And I've talked to many of our districts are in the same position, and we talked to them about what their options are. So your current millage is rolled back to 17.8, probably. I'm not sure, Kathy, if you looked at what might be rolled back next year.
So we're flat, we don't have a rollback heading into the 23-24 year, so we're gonna stay at the 17.8.
So, but then the next year, you would know what that would be. So, and so what we've been suggesting, and so you don't expire until end of 2024, so you could just go along and not do anything, and then renew it for 2025.
When you say end of 2024, is that 6/30/24, 9/30/24, 12/31/24?
It's 12/20/24.
12/20/24.
Summer collection, if we want to capture it, we would want to have something before July of 2024, so that's why we're bringing it. That's why we're bringing it forward now, because there's only so many election dates that we have left, that the city is running elections, so that we don't have to pay the additional election costs.
Okay.
So we're looking at, I might be jumping the gun a little bit, but, that's not a good analogy, but we're looking at November 7th, because the city is running an election, so we're looking at running an election potentially on November 7th, 2023.
Okay.
Yeah. So you actually have authority to levy this year, which you already did, or you will, July 1, 2023. And then you have authority to levy next year, July 1, 2024. But that would be at the rollback amount, the 17.8, which is below the 18 mils. What we've suggested to and we've done this with several of our other clients, is to go to the voters early and replace the authorization so that we could start levying the higher amount next year. So we don't lose, we're going to lose money this year, there's nothing we can do about it. But we wanted to be able to stop that loss. So we go to the voters and say, let's replace this early to begin in 2024 before it expires, and we'll put it up at the 18 mils so that we don't get the loss under the rollback under that. And that's the proposal that we've suggested to the administration. What we've also been doing as part of that in the replacement is we've been asking the voters for a cushion. You can only levy 18 mils, but we can ask the voters to authorize an unlimited amount of mils. So we typically ask for 2 or 3 additional mils cushion in there. So the example that I think is in your package in our ballot language is to ask for a 21 mil increase with the knowledge that we can only levy 18 mils. And then the rollback, that would protect us against future rollbacks in the future. And as part of that, you can go out 20 years on this authorization. So, in my personal opinion, I think these elections are a waste of school resources. Taxpayers don't understand it, and so I've been trying to convince districts to replace or renew 18 mils, 2 or 3 mil cushion, and go out 20 years. So we don't have to worry about this for a long time. A lot of districts go out 5 years or 10-year cycle. They're always, maybe sooner, like in your instance, if it gets rolled back, you're going back, you renewed this in 2020 for 5 years, and here 3 years later, we're talking about how to fix this because we'll roll back below 18 mils and we're losing money. So we've been successful in Macomb County. We did Van Dyke, Fraser, we did Birmingham, Troy. That's the recent ones we did. We've done just that. We've gone out asking for 21 mils, 20 years, replacement millage. Voters were all very receptive.
Do you recall what our 2020 was, as far as what we bumped it up to, 21, 22?
18.8055.
We only pushed it to 18.805?
Yeah, so I'm not sure, I wasn't.
3 years ago? We had to do more than that.
So we had a different council than we have now, and the options we were provided at that time, we were instructed that all we could do was an extra $0.5 And there were other things that, and as soon as we approved that, and there was some dialogue, and we did, I believe, for 4 years or whatnot, but there was some dialogue between 4 and 5. And so that being said, we had a different advisement that we were told that we couldn't authorize more than we wanted to, that we were limited to a certain amount, which was a $0.5 And then that $0.5 got hit twice in that 1 year. So it got a double rollback in that 1 year. And again, we were misadvised as our options. So we did do very limited, and then we paired it to a shorter years because we knew that property values were going to go up, but we thought we only had that amount of a $0.5 And it was, correct me if I'm wrong, it was called a renewal at that time. And now that we have Miller Canfield and Mr. Crowley, there was this replacement idea that wasn't presented to us 4 years ago. So luckily, we only went 4 years, and the property value is increasing at a higher level. We only had a rollback of a little bit, and now we feel that if we can bring it forward now, it's only a loss of revenue for the last couple of years, opposed to if we would have went longer term. But yes, it was only a $0.5 that we were able to address 4 years ago.
How much is a .11 loss?
So for us, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, it's not huge.
Yeah, this isn't a lot of money.
It's about 14, 15 grand, but still, it's 14, 15 grand. I mean,
That's not a lot of money. I mean,
correct. I mean, it's not, but,
Yeah, but that's minuscule. 14,000. We're not talking like millions. We're talking 14,000.
no. So in the big picture, the state assumes we're getting that. You're right, it's not a lot, but at the end of the day, no, I mean, it's not, but,
Maybe it's like it's shock and awe. It's 14,000. This isn't.
no,
a lot of money at all.
it's not significant, but if it keeps rolling back, it still amounts that the state is thinking that we're getting. And so by the idea of, do we have to go out for election anyway, be it this year or the next year, because this is going to expire, so we would be sitting here in another year potentially. Well, actually, no, it expires December 2024, so it's coming up anyway. So we would have to do something, and what Mr. Crowley is suggesting, and in my past experience, when I've had to do this before, you always authorize higher. The voters, again, it doesn't affect them, the max that we can charge, and again, it's just rental properties and businesses, doesn't affect the average resident that lives in here that has their home. It basically allows for this rollback to happen, and the rollback is applied to the authorized mills. You always can at least levy the 18 mills, so it protects us. And so going out longer, again, it's one of those things that Mr. Crowley already mentioned. It's just an item that we just have to do in order to get what we are supposed to be getting and that the state thinks we're getting, so.
Yeah, that $0.5 I'm recalling the discussion on that, and I also recall that we didn't have we're talking 20 years here for this. I thought it was a much shorter window that they gave us at that time as
Correct.
well for 2020. And that's what I was thinking was driving it, but now that you mentioned the $0.5, that too.
Yeah,
And prior to that, I want to say we did a 10-year. I think we
Correct.
did this in 2010. It was a
Yes.
10-year, and after, 8 years or something like that, we went back to the voters because it dropped below and got the approval then. I mean, the voters support us with this every time, so.
And we've looked at the election dates, and Mr. Crowley can speak to it as well. There are a few options, but like I mentioned, the November election, the city happens to have one. So that's why we were hoping that the board would, we're going to have to bring this resolution to you folks for hopefully approval, and we'll probably be coming back in July. The latest we have to bring it back is in August. And then that would allow us to move forward to have an election and target the November election, because then we wouldn't have to pay the election costs. So there are other dates, Mr. Crowley can speak to those, but
Yeah, so I put together a your support packet, you will find in consideration memo that. When we selected, talk to districts about an election date, one of the key things is the cost. If your ballot proposal on a date, so in Michigan, we can have basically
Four.
School district allows 3 days.
3 now.
You can do the May, August, November, and then in the presidential year, 2024, you can do the presidential primary, which will be either February or March next year. So if there's another entity or another proposal on the ballot or vote, you have very little cost. If you're the only item on the ballot, you don't have to pay for the whole election, which can get expensive. So our advice to districts is always to try to hit an election date that where the cost is minimal. And we identified November of 2023 as being one of those. Obviously, you get into 2024, you've got the primary, again, either February, March, will be a freebie. May, maybe not. And then August and November would be freebie days too, in 2024. So those would be no-cost elections.
I know in years past, the administration has done a very good job in getting the word out to share the facts with the voters, not to sway them either way, but here's what this is about. And the voters have responded favorably to us every time. So it's just a matter of getting the correct information out to the voters again, and I think we'll do fine, so.
Yeah, the discussion was, you're going to have to renew it. If you didn't take action in 2023, we agree that the amount is not crucial. Some districts it is, with a bigger commercial tax base, it would be different. But it is, 14,000. The big thing for me in Lakeview is you're going to have to renew it anyway. It might be, consider 2023, November would be consideration. You might avoid all the noise in 2024, the presidential year. And you get it done. More importantly to me with Lakeview would be to put an adequate cushion and do it for, at least 10 years, consider 20 years. So you don't have to come back and I just think it's a waste of school resources to run these elections every 5, 10 years. So that's my advice to consider that.
In that if we run out like we did this time, earlier than anticipated, let's say we do 20 years and it's done in 18 years, and we can go in the 18th year and go after it again. So.
But as Kathy indicated, if you wanted to pursue the November election, we'd have to have the board approve a resolution in July or August board meeting.
Fair enough.
the reason we're not looking into the 24 past July 1 is we're a 100% summer tax collection, as I said in the budget hearing. So it gets a little trickier where we would be able to, but they would have to do a special addition to the tax roll for December if we wait into the longer period of time. So by doing it in November, the taxpayers have been very supportive. Like we already discussed, it's not going to hit a residential home or affect them at all. And then if for whatever reason, we have a couple other election dates thereafter, but we hope that the community will support it as they've always supported it in the past. Because it is just a housekeeping item, as Mr. Crowley basically said, it's a formality that we're required to do to keep our funding that the state thinks we're already getting.
Yeah, and it's money sitting on the table as it is, so.
And each year, it's 15,000, so to Mike's point, Mr. Bayer's point over previously, it's 15,000 each year, and, we try and be as prudent as possible and be wise with our spending, so we like to get every bit that we can.
Ms. Martin, you had a question?
Yeah, so I'm not as familiar with these types of elections as other people here. So will the Mills decision and the period decision be two separate voting items or one voting
So
item?
in the packet, I did put sample language in there. The ballot language that I would propose is in there. There's one question, do we ask for limitations be increased by 21 mil? We point out that 18
front page.
So are those two different items, or is that one thing you vote?
One thing, so you're approving a millage amount for a term of a year.
Do you ever have it two different items, or it's always
Obviously, it
just
has to
one?
be together.
What is your opinion?
We do it. We've done it for the 23 years I've been on the board.
Okay.
And it's not an increase, it's just maintaining the level.
Correct.
So,
Correct. And again, it does not affect your regular property owner in the city, taxpayer. It's the
Right,
second
yeah.
properties and businesses, so.
And I'm in favor of the November election date. It just seems to make the most sense to me. I don't know what everyone else's opinion is.
Well, I guess that's a discussion for another day, once July or August, and,
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's the one where. The one that's free.
yeah.
That's the one that's free. That's the only one free that's coming up in the near, other than like maybe the primary and so forth, but yeah.
Yeah, free's good even at twice the price.
Yeah, we like free.
All right. Need any more? Anybody have any questions? No? Mr. Crowley, thank you for coming
Thank
out
you,
this
Mr.
evening.
Crowley. Appreciate you coming.
Okay, moving on to the consent agenda. Item A, adoption of Michigan High School Athletic Association resolution.
Lakeview High School and Jefferson Middle School students have benefited from the association with the Michigan High School Athletic Association. This association has resulted in our implementation of athletic programs and rules which are especially designed for students of these levels with compatible philosophies and equitable opportunities for competition. According to the 1970 school code and Attorney General opinion of 1977, local school boards may voluntarily join the MHSAA by adopting the attached resolution. Administration recommends continued participation with the MHSAA by adoption of the attached resolution.
Mr. President, I recommend that we adopt the resolution for the voluntary membership of Jefferson Middle School and Lakeview High School in the Michigan High School Athletic Association for the year August 1, 2023 through July 31, 2024.
support.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Minor, support by Mr. Baer. Discussion on the motion. Oh, you're right. I was wondering what that noise was.
Sounded like a little frog or something.
All right, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to personnel. Item 8, changes in personnel.
Tonight, administration is bringing forward the following changes in personnel since the last presentation to the Board of Education on May 16th. New hires, Teresa Kluge, Lakeview Public Schools Technology Secretary; Morgan Holcomb, District Special Education Social Worker; Colleen Zito, Lakeview Public Schools Elementary School Counselor; Laura Hull, Lakeview High School Teacher; Kyle Kenyon, Jefferson Middle School Teacher; Samantha Legrette, Lakeview High School Teacher. Resignations, Kyle Kenyon from his Lakeview High School Secondary Interventionist position; Kennedy Scott, Lakeview Public Schools District Permanent Sub. Retirements, Heather Huber, Lakeview High School Assistant Principal; Janine Rayum, Lakeview Public Schools Elementary Specials Teacher. Schedule B, returning coach and sponsors for the 23-24 school year as listed. Schedule B, new coach sponsor for the 23-24 school year, Scott Archibald, Lakeview High School basketball varsity girls coach.
Mr. President, I move that the Board of Education approve the changes in personnel as presented.
Support.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Baer, support by Ms. Martin. Discussion on the motion. Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to curriculum.
Oh, we do have
Oh, we do
some
have new
here.
hires here? I'm sorry.
We do. So I want to introduce them. They came through all those kids and all of the good things, and they're here not just for budget. So we do have Colleen Zito, who is here. So Colleen is here, and she is coming to us. She's most recently done her internship for school counseling through Lance Cruz Middle School South, and she also did another intern position at Richmond High School. She's coming to us with her Master's of Arts in Clinical Mental Health and School Counseling from Oakland University. And before that, she received her Bachelor's of Health Sciences from Oakland University and has some experience working as a behavioral technician before she decided to go back and join us in the school setting. And so we have recently put her through that rigorous process of interviewing with us, and she definitely rose to the top as our top candidate, and we're thrilled that she's accepted our position and will be joining us for the fall. So we welcome you, and if you want to stand up, then the board can welcome you to the staff. And then we also have Samantha. So Samantha Legrette. Samantha's coming to us. She is certified in secondary English. She has been doing both short-term and long-term positions at Dakota High School. And when I say long-term, I mean the whole entire year in a high school English position. So she's coming to us, although with not a teacher position in the union group. She has done the job for a year and is going to bring that expertise and those experiences here to benefit our kids. So she has her Bachelor of Arts in English from University of Michigan Dearborn, and then went back to Saginaw Valley State and received her secondary education English endorsement certification. So she's coming to us. We had just such a nice conversation about the experiences she's had so far and how those will transfer here and all the things that she can bring to that team at the high school. So we're thrilled that she's here, and we welcome you, Samantha. So congratulations.
All right, welcome aboard to both of you. It'll be a long career here, hopefully. Awesome. All right, curriculum, Camp Kopnaconic for
Yeah.
AMS sixth grade students.
Jefferson Middle School sixth grade students and staff would like to travel to Camp Kopnaconic located in Fenton, Michigan. This long-standing tradition and experience at Lakeview has enabled sixth graders an opportunity to participate in an engaging outdoor educational experience. The students will be involved in an intensive nature study, camping and survival training, and bonding with students blended from our 4 elementary buildings and the high school students who serve as their cabin counselors. Competitive quotes and in-person visits were reviewed this year in order to ensure that the district's students and families continue to get a quality trip at the most affordable price. After extensive review and discussion, it was determined that the district would switch to the YMCA Camp Kopnaconic program for the 2023 sixth grade camp activity. Transportation will be by bus through Divergent Transportation. The cost of the trip is $205 per student. Fundraising is available for students who wish to participate to help defer the cost of the trip, with any remaining balance provided by each family. Additional funding, if necessary, may be obtained from the PTSO, community organizations, staff donations, or the District Chatterton Fund. JMS Principal Amanda Michaelevich is responsible for arranging and planning the trip. Mrs. Michaelevich and staff parent chaperones will be traveling with approximately 225 students and 25 to 30 Lakeview High School seniors who will be selected as cabin counselors. The number of chaperones and counselors will be based upon the number of students signed up to attend. The students and chaperones will depart JMS on Wednesday, November 1st, 2023 at 9 a.m. and will return on Friday, November 3rd, 2023 at 3:30 p.m.
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Bear, support by Ms. Martin. Discussion on the motion. Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. Item B, Jefferson Middle School 8th grade annual trip to Washington, D.C.
Jefferson Middle School 8th grade students and chaperones would like to travel to Washington, D.C. during the 2024 spring break. This is an annual trip where Washington, D.C. monuments, museums, and sites of historical significance will be visited, providing valuable hands-on educational and fun learning opportunities for students. On this trip, the students will receive vivid illustrations of history through site visits and gain a greater understanding of the nation's heritage. This experience will also provide students with a sense of the responsibility of good citizenship and the importance of national pride. Student Adventures Travel Company will again partner with Lakeview Public Schools for the 2024 Washington, D.C. trip. The total cost of the trip is $957 per student. A variety of fundraisers are planned in which the students may participate to help defray the cost of the trip. Informational communications are mailed and meetings are held for parents and students to share the trip itinerary, procedures, and expectations. A trip coordinator will be responsible for preliminary planning and oversight of students and chaperones while on the trip. Parent and guardian chaperones will be chosen at a ratio of 1 parent to 4 students. The group will depart JMS on Sunday, March 24th, 2024 at 5:30 a.m. and will return on Wednesday, March 27th, 2024 at 11 p.m.
Mr. President, I move that the Board of Education approve Jefferson Middle School annual 8th grade trip to Washington, D.C., leaving Sunday, March 24th, 2024, and returning on Wednesday, March 27th, 2024.
Support.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Bear, support by Ms. Martin. Discussion on the motion.
Yes. I have chaperoned 4 trips to Washington, D.C. It's a phenomenal trip. I highly recommend every student take advantage of it. You cannot possibly see, if you go there by yourself, in that amount of time, what you see on this trip. So that's all I have.
Very cool.
We're still looking for a camp coordinator or a Washington DC coordinator.
Wink, wink.
Ms. Culhane is considering it, so if anyone sees her, put in a good word for it. She'd be perfect.
Absolutely. Any other comments? Okay. Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to business. Item A, certification of millage tax rates for 2023 to 2024 fiscal year.
To provide for the collection of property taxes this summer, it is recommended that the Board of Education establish the 2023 taxation millage rates this evening. Non-homestead property tax rate is at 17.8965 mils. The state mandated homestead property levy is set at 6 mils. The proposed millage rate for the Lakeview Debt Retirement Fund for payment of the 2016 bond refunding and the 2020 Series 1 and 2022 Series 2 bonds that were issued as a result of approval by voters in November 2019 should be set at 7.5 mils. The levy will raise adequate revenue collection to make the voter-approved debt payments totaling approximately $4,855,300 for the 23-24 fiscal year.
Mr. President, I move that the Board of Education approve as presented the resolution establishing the following 2023 millage rates. General Fund, 17.8965 mils on all non-homestead and non-qualified agricultural properties, and Debt Retirement Fund, 7.5 mils for debt retirement levy on all taxable property.
Support.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Bear, support by Ms. Martin. Discussion on the motion. Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Item B, 2023-2024 original budget resolutions.
Okay, this is a long one, so I'll try and pause in between funds. This evening, administration recommends that the Board of Education consider the 2023-24 original budget resolution for the General Fund, Capital Projects Fund, Debt Fund, Food Service Fund, Students' School Activity Fund, 2020 Bond Fund, 2020 School Bond Debt Fund, 2022 Bond Fund, and 2022 School Bond Debt Fund budgets for the 2023-24 school year. Administration projects general fund revenue of approximately $59.4 million and expenses of approximately $59.2 million, which continues to include student supports for learning loss, social emotional needs, safety, and security, along with a continued focus on providing high-quality programs and staff. There are many unknowns as we begin the 23-24 fiscal year, including the actual cost of the close of the 22-23 fiscal year. However, the outlook looks favorable for the upcoming year, even though recent state of Michigan revenue projections are lower than their previous estimates. The state's year-end is September 30th, and although the state's general purpose fund and the state school aid fund have significant available resources, the state leaders have not passed a final budget at this time. The district is required to have an original budget in place by July 1st each year. Lakeview, like all schools in the state, must base our budget work on state revenue assumptions, particularly as it relates to the student foundation allowance. Revenue is also heavily dependent on the student head count each year, which is how state revenues are delivered in local schools. On the general fund revenue side, the district has assumed the 90-10 blend for student membership and a 300 per pupil increase and an estimated enrollment increase of 50 additional students. Many of the federal and state grants related to the aftermath of COVID have been expended and therefore removed from this budget proposal, and any remaining funds are allocated based on projections at this time. On the state revenue side, these include the one-time MIPSRS payment and offsetting expenditures of $2.7 million and 98C mental health of about $212,000 and about $1 million in federal grants such as child care stabilization, ARP funds, and portions of ESSER 3 and 11T funding. Due to a calculation adjustment in the special education IDEA funding in the county, Lakeview is also projected to lose $500,000, which is a combination of IDEA and special education millage funding. This budget is conservative on the state revenue side, as recent indications from the three branches of government indicate that the state budget, once approved, will likely have more per pupil funding than we are proposing now, and new enrollment activity is looking favorable as families are choosing Lakeview as a top choice for their children. On the expenditure side, due to loss of funding, salaries and benefits of staff that were previously covered in state and federal grants are now budgeted as general fund expenditures, such as preschool and latchkey, some social workers, teacher specialists, and other support staff that supported learning loss or other post-COVID initiatives. Wage increases for settled contracts are estimated and included, however, specifics are unknown as we are in active negotiations with one employee group and the state budget is not finalized. Projections for a few new teaching and other support positions are included. Administration assumed the retirement rate for the 22-23 year was maintained, as it is unclear if the state will reduce or somehow fund the retirement system differently with the significant resources that are in the state school aid fund balance. Medical and RX costs is projected a slight decrease due to several employees migrating to the no employee cost share high deductible HSA plan. This budget proposes a capital projects transfer of $1.2 million, continuing to provide funds for future technology replacements, including Chromebooks for the one-on-one initiative, roof maintenance, and a support for bond project costs if those exceed the predicted bond budgets. The district has had good fiscal policies and prudent spending over the past few years and has had significant growth to fund balance. Although this budget is conservative because of the many uncertainties, with the significant reductions in grant and other revenues, the district continues to support students' social, emotional, and educational needs. Administration projects at this time to have a slight increase in fund balance of about $121,168 to close the 23-24 school year with approximately $9.1 million in fund balance. The Capital Projects Fund is proposed to have growth to fund balance due to the proposed general fund transfer of $1.2 million. Because most of the major maintenance and construction work is through bond funds, there will be minimal activity projected at this time in this fund in 23-24. Capital Projects Fund would close the year with approximately $3.3 million in fund balance. The Food Service Fund, revenue is projected to decrease due to primarily the loss of the majority of supply chain assistant grant funding of about $110,000. The fund has had significant increase to fund balance over the past few years, not only due to the increased federal funding because of COVID, but also we had staffing shortages during those years. The federal guidelines limit the amount of fund balance that the program can have, called excess fund balance. The district has developed a spend down plan to address $243,000. In the 22-23 year, we have staff wage improvements and have the majority of the positions filled, so the additional costs and the program will cover kitchen improvements and equipment for Greenwood and Harmon of about $100,000 to minimize the burden on the bond funds and also address the excess fund balance issue. There are several significant unknowns at this time, as the federal government has two major initiatives potentially affecting the 23-24 year school lunch program. The first is new sodium and or caloric requirements that, if implemented in July 1, 2023, will significantly impact the quality of food we are able to serve our students. And 2, the universal free lunch and breakfast for all students is out on the floor as well. Both of these initiatives will negatively affect our programming because students may choose not to utilize our offerings, but the impact is unknown at this time. This budget is more aggressive in spending to comply with the regulations, and we expect to close of the 2022-23 and the 23-24 years reducing fund balance. We anticipate the program will end the year with a planned decrease to fund balance, leaving approximately $167,743 available going forward. The Student School Activity Fund accounts are primarily fundraise monies, and the various groups may or may not spend their cash. The budget is expected to close the 23-24 school year with approximately $472,000 in fund balance. The 2020 bond fund has been mostly utilized, with a few retention payments obligated on completed contracts, and is projected to have $1.4 million in available funds to allocate to future bond projects. The 2022 bond fund includes construction activity in our 4 elementary buildings and portions of expected improvements at the high school, including an addition in the courtyard and athletic complex improvements. There are also continued district-wide technology upgrades for the 23-24 school year included. Although difficult to project at this time, we expect the 2020 Bond Series 1 to be fully expended at the close of the 23-24 year, and we expect the 2022 bond fund to close the 23-24 year with expenses of approximately $15.9 million and a fund balance of approximately $6.8 million. Finally, the debt fund is proposed to have an increase to fund balance due to the taxable value increases and the need to meet future debt obligations. However, the tax levy is maintained at 7.5 mils. Debt principal and interest payments of approximately $1.9 million will leave approximately $537,000 fund balance at the close of the 23-24 year. For the 2020 school debt fund and the 2022 school debt fund are required funds based on the bond requirements to track debt payments separately from 2 series of bond sales. For the 2020 debt fund and the 2022 debt fund, debt principal and interest payments of approximately $500,000 for the 2020 fund will leave approximately $500,000 in fund balance, and approximately $2.4 million in debt payments for the 2022 fund, with fund balance of $450,000 respectively at the close of the 23-24 year. Increasing taxable values in Lakeview have positively impacted the tax collection for both debt funds, allowing the district to maintain 7.5 mils to be paid by the taxpayers for 2023 tax year. And it is 3 debt funds, my apologies. It's the original 2016 refunding, and then the 2 series for the new bond. Therefore, administration recommends adoption of the 23-24 original budget appropriations resolutions as presented.
Mr. President, I recommend that the Board of Education approve the 2023-2024 original budget appropriations resolutions as presented.
Support.
Okay, we have a motion by Ms. Martin, support by Mr. Baird. Did you have your microphone on?
I did, but I'm losing my voice. Too much talking today.
I was going to make that joke.
Can I try to trade with Robin and have the one-liner?
Sure, you can go for it. Do I have to start from the top?
I was going to ask you if you'd mind repeating that.
Any other comments?
Again, I express sincere thanks for all the hard work you do all the time, and all your support staff, and for helping us get in such a good financial place year after year since I've been involved with the board.
When was your first year here, 17? 2016. 16, yeah, you can see it up on the chart.
We came at the same time, I think. Yeah.
All right, any other comments? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Well done, thank you.
We have a little certificate over here for you. Come up and get your certificate. Just kidding.
All right, next we have request for closed session, student expulsion, long-term suspension recommendation 2022/23RB.
I recommend that the Board of Education approves a request for a closed session to discuss a Step 9 long-term suspension, expulsion, discipline, recommendation for student 2022/23RB.
Support.
Okay, we have a motion by Ms. Martin, support by Mr. Bear. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Miners,
Yes.
Mr. Asha,
Yes.
Mr. Miskelly,
Yes.
Miss Martin, yes, Mr. Bear,
Yes.
Mr. Dombrowski.
Aye. Okay. Okay, the vote for going to closed session, 6-0. Right now, it is 8:34. Are we ready to go right into closed session, or do we need a recess for
Quick recess.
quick recess? All right, we'll reconvene at 8:40. It's 8:35.